Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We're very happy to have you all on here for this virtual event and this fundraiser event. Um, my name is Devin Sneathen. I'll be your host for the evening. I'm joined by Kristen Call, one of the co-founders, the co-artistic director, and the interim executive director at Coriolis Dance.
Hi, thanks for tuning in today. We're really happy to spend some time with you this evening.
Tonight is Virtual Mosaic Resilience. It's Coriolis Dance's Season 13 virtual fundraiser, gala, and cocktail party. First things first, you might have noticed we have some cocktails and a little bit of a charcuterie spread here in front of us to help us celebrate. This came from Cure Cocktail. Cure Cocktail is doing a promotion with us tonight. Any orders for delivery that are taken tonight if you put Coriolis Dance in the delivery instructions, 20% of your order will go directly to Coriolis Dance. So again, I'll throw the link up here on the screen. That is curecocktail.com. They're a Capitol Hill bar. You can support local business by ordering from them for delivery tonight. You can enjoy a cocktail with us, and part of your order will go to Coriolis Dance. That is, as long as you put Coriolis Dance in the delivery instructions on your order. So once more, curecocktail.com. We're really happy you're here. Obviously, 2020 has been difficult for a lot of different reasons. The pandemic is one of the ones that's highest on that list, of course. 2020 has put live dance and a lot of the arts in general, for that matter, completely on hold. It's given Coriolis Dance a chance and some time to reflect on their history as an organization. We put this together tonight to celebrate our past, show you a little bit of what we've been working on during 2020, and talk about our plans for the future. We've got lots of video pieces to show, some of which that have never been shown before at all in any context. We've got interviews with the dancers and the directors of these pieces. We'll be talking a lot about the future of Coriolis Dance and all the exciting work and programs that they have coming up in the years ahead. While this is happening, we'll be keeping an eye on the YouTube chat. If you have any questions about any of the pieces that you're watching, any of the questions for the dancers or the co-directors or anybody else that we bring on to interview, put them there. And we'll take some time to answer those questions throughout the show. Let's see. We'll just get right to it. I think with those introductions, feeling good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that Coriolis Dance is here to announce is the launch of the Coriolis Patreon. If you're not aware, Patreon is a service that allows an organization or artist to set up a monthly subscription service with various perks and benefits for those subscribers. To talk a little bit more about that Patreon and what it means for Coriolis, we're joined by Natasha Greenwald, the co-founder and co-director of Coriolis Dance. Let's bring her on. Hello, Natasha. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Happy to be here today with you.
Great. Excellent. Very happy to have you here. Tell us a little bit about the Coriolis Patreon.
Yeah, I'm really excited that we're launching this. As you said, 2020 has been a crazy year for the arts, and we have so many amazing collaborators and artists that aren't showing work right now. We want you to hear about how they're using this time, this transition, how they've related to us in the past, and their hopes for the future as well. It's been really it's been really fun to be hearing from people already what they want to share. This will be an intimate look at what it means to be an artist with Coriolis. You'll hear from the directors, from the dancers, from other collaborators. One of our missions is to tell stories of resilience and vulnerability. And so this will be looking at how we're dealing with this time to be able to begin those stories that will eventually go to the stage. There's some extra special things of whether you're a working artist or an enthusiastic audience member. We'll be sharing some of our own practices that you can join along with us in this time to be creating as well.
That's excellent. Thank you. So a couple other notes about the Coriolis Patreon. Anyone who subscribes during tonight's event will be given some special holiday content as a special thank you for those early adopters, some of the first people to jump on board. We have a little goal for the evening. Kristen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're hoping to get 25 new subscribers tonight, and we're hoping to raise $2,500.
Yeah. And we'll be thanking anybody that subscribes or donates during tonight's events live on the air. So we'll take a quick second and we'll say thank you to any new subscribers or anybody who donates during the course of the evening. Tasha, thank you very much for telling us a little bit about the Coriolis Patreon. We'll be seeing you a lot more, I'm sure, as the evening progresses. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into a little bit of what you need to do to subscribe to the Patreon.
Hi, I'm Prosti, and I serve on the board for Coriolis Dance. I'm a Seattle-based dancer, and I met co-artistic directors Natasha and Kristen while attending workshops they've offered in the past. For $5 a month, every month, you get a short message from Coriolis about what we're thinking about and in process with. For $10 a month, every month, you get a Through Our Eyes photo and message, plus all the previous perks.
Okay, let me fix that real quick. So the first technical difficulty of the evening, I was supposed to narrate this video, but the microphone input was off, so I'm just going to go over it from the top. A couple of simple ways to become a member. One, you can just point your phone's camera at the QR code that's visible now. That gives you a direct link. Or you can visit coriolisdance.org, click on the donate button at the bottom of the page, and then click the support us on Patreon button on the bottom of that page. You can review the perks and choose your tier from there to sign up. And Prosti, one of our board members, just went over the level 1 and 2 tier there. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that Patreon as the night goes on, but now it's time to move on to our first film of the evening. Kristen, this is an excerpt from your work, What is Home? It's a smaller part of what was originally a much larger piece with a lot of installation work and various other visual elements around it. Why did you choose this part to focus on, and what was the objective with narrowing it down that way?
Well, I really felt that this particular section of the work was the heart of the piece in its entirety. The piece is about a household of people who really struggle to find ways to interact positively with each other, and when they can't hold space for the people that have the least power in that household, it collapses in on itself. And so I really wanted to look at the moment in which there's a balance that's found where one of the people in this house figures out how to allow this other person to take up space and can hold that space with her, can support being in that space, and can amplify her voice once she finds it. And there's a lot of complexity in the work, so it was really nice to hone in on that one element and see what could resonate just by itself.
Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and watch this piece now. Okay, that was our first piece of the evening. And we've been rehearsing this for a long time, but I haven't really had a chance to just like let those roll for a long time, and that was really special. Kristen, that piece was originally part of a full evening length piece. It was rehearsed and taught to a group of 5 dancers that were there from the very beginning, learning everything and developing everything along with you. You then took the finished piece and you taught a small portion of it to just 2 dancers over a very short period of time, just a week or so. How does that experience differ, and how do you give the dancers a chance to really find those characters still and live in that role?
Well, first I want to mention that it was the 5 dancers and 2 actors that were in that main performance of the evening, and really all of the people who worked on that piece, from the pre-show through to the live performance, have a really special place in my heart. And the way that we delved into the work and had a really intense, rich, deep process when we spent 6 months with the main 5 dancers, I think allowed us to access something that was really magical. And so from the bottom of my heart, I'm really grateful for the time that I got to spend with those people. When I went to cast for this, bringing in Marissa Quimby and Madeline DeVries from Lions Ballet, they are special in their own right. And I think what really helped me was to take that experience that I'd had in the original experience and kind of facilitate something that was really sped up. But the fact that these dancers are so special, they were really able to take it on and rapidly kind of dive into these roles.
We have a question here from Karen Grady Brown asking, how did you guys rehearse this piece during the pandemic? What was your process like to create this?
Well, this film is actually from 2018. So we didn't have to try and rehearse it during the pandemic. And the process to create it, the choreography was already made. The piece had already had its premiere. So what this film represents was me trying to show a potential presenter, what this piece could look like on a single level stage, because in the original set it was 2 tiers, 2 levels of a stage. So kind of reworking that and showcasing one of the relationships from that piece.
Fantastic. So that was the first piece of the evening. Again, we're here hoping to promote our Patreon and get some donations for Coriolis Dance throughout the evening. And on that note, we have a few Patreon subscribers. So we'd like to thank everybody. Yes, I've got to get the party stuff on for this because it's very special. We've got 3 new Patreon subscribers. Aaron Hart subscribed at the $10 tier. Erica Doyle subscribed at the $5 tier, and Gerald Bopp subscribed at the $5 tier. Thank you very, very much for your subscriptions. So we're really excited about this and can hope to broaden our communication and our connection with everybody that's subscribed. And then on that note, we have a donation to talk about as well. So Jeanette Cruel donated $300 to Coriolis Dance. Thank you very much for that donation. Very much appreciated. Wow, it's an amazing start to the night. So thank you very much. We're going to move on. First, because we are going over the Patreon over the course of the night, I am going to play a quick video here that talks about the 3rd tier of the Patreon.
Hi, I'm Erica Hansen, a Coriolis Dance board member. I became introduced to Coriolis through a mutual dance enthusiast, and I quickly became interested in helping to support the work of these incredible artists. For $15 a month, every month, you get investigative tools from Coriolis that you can apply to your artistry and beyond, plus all previous perks.
And thank you. That was another one of our board members going over the tiers there. We'll move on to the next piece here. This piece is still very much in progress. It was something that developed during the course of the lockdowns, sort of a back and forth, almost a choreography telephone game. Little bits of choreography sent in back and forth between Kristen Call and Madeline Greger. So obviously the way that this piece is structured, it's inexorably linked with the 2020 pandemic and the lockdowns around it. How was it for you finding ways to remain an active creative and to remain a dancer and to remain dancing when dancing with people, dancing together face to face was impossible?
Well, one of my lifelines really was at our post-ballet class, which jumped really instantaneously really over to virtual, and through that started to be able to kind of grasp what kind of situation we were in, how to still be in my body, how to be in the environment that I was in, which is not necessarily suited for dance. And the discussions that we had afterwards was really helpful for me to then, I think I just texted Maddie or something to see, do you want to just play and that and kind of play off of this technology that's at our fingertips, but also has limitations that come with it. And so that was it's just been really fun, an ongoing process that's been really fun.
Excellent. So let's real quick, let's show that piece as it stands right now, and we'll come back and talk about it a little bit more after that.
Okay, hi. Hi. Okay, so, hello. Hi. Hello. So, hello. Okay, so, hi. You are getting all videos today. Okay, bye. I feel like I'm an apple-eating alien creature. I like that. So, bye.
So that was the second piece of the evening, and we've got Madeline Greger here joining us now to talk a little bit about that piece with Kristen and I. Thank you very much for being here tonight, Maddie.
Yeah, of course.
Maddie, you're a Coriolis dancer, and you're also on the board of directors for Coriolis Dance.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So a question for you both. This was, all remote teaching, basically, sending little bits of choreography back and forth, sort of passing the piece back and then passing the piece back and forth again, and all remote. How, when you're doing something like that, do you blend and adapt your own personal choreography style to sort of match and blend with the person that you're working with? Maddie, why don't you start?
Okay, yeah, it kind of felt similar to working with someone in person in that way, where just picking off of things that were inspiring or that like really stuck. Like this idea of like the apple, I kind of like latched onto, and then Kristen latched onto, and then we kept on kind of creating a motif in a way, and creating movements or gestures that repeated to create more of an arc through line throughout our two different styles.
Yeah, and I found it surprisingly similar. So we had a rule that there was no discussion. We would send the video instruction, and then there was nothing else that we would provide. So what ended up happening, I think, was just through watching the videos over and over as the phrase was progressing, we started to take little bits from each other, see the different choices that were being made, and adjust our own choices to things that we were seeing. So there's this very like kinesthetic response happening in a really similar way that happens when you're in the same space with somebody in a studio together. You just automatically, just because of your proximity, you start doing those kinds of things and behaving in that way. And it was really interesting to me that we were doing that even virtually.
Perfect. So obviously that piece started sort of nebulously. There was no really end goal for it, and neither did you really know how long it was going to end up. I think as the pandemic got longer, that piece got longer as well. So what do you see being next for this piece? Was it something that you would like to expand to a live performance or something more fleshed out?
Maddie, what do you think?
I think it would be fun to get it in the studio. We've talked about like introducing like actual apples, and what else can expand beyond the movement of this phrase that we have, like what comes before, what comes after, what does the scene look like, and all of that is really interesting. I think next steps, we're kind of playing around with point of views since we're still in kind of quarantine land.
Yeah, kind of taking on the camera as a participant in what we're doing, since it has now been so long that we've been doing this. Yeah, we're kind of taking that next step to think of it in filmic terms.
Yeah, perfect. So we have a question here from Holly West, and Holly West asks, how did you two decide what movements to do together?
I think that she might be meaning in the video we're in unison. And that was just me in video editing. I sort of like made those choices. So the phrase is like a 3-minute long phrase. And so I was kind of just pulling bits here and there. Does that track for you, Maddie?
Yeah, I guess what also makes that easier is that we had the same piece of music that we were working with, and we knew the counts to that. And so then we would be dancing together. in that way since we were in the same time.
Although we never actually got to talk about counts, and except in the instructions. So
True. Yeah. We never corrected each other's counts.
Excellent. Stick with us for a little bit, Maddie, because we're going to talk about the Patreon again. First off, we have a new subscriber. Yay! So, Eileen Quinn subscribed at the $25 tier. That's $25 a month going to Coriolis Dance through the Coriolis Patreon. There's a ton of perks associated with that. And actually, conveniently, we're about to go into the $25 tier and exactly what's included with that. Let me do that right now.
With the introduction of our monthly Patreon, you'll get a chance to see through our eyes and join us on the multifaceted journey of a woman-led company, creating art that tells the stories we need today. For $25 a month every month, you get a deeper delving into process with a video and message from Coriolis that further elaborates on investigatory experiences, plus a yearly happy hour with Coriolis dancers, when safe to do so, and all previous perks.
Excellent. So that was the $25 tier, I think the tier 4, and all of the perks associated with that. And as a reminder, the highest tier that you sign up for, you get all the perks below. Visit CoriolisDance.org, hit the Donate Now button below, and then the subscribe to Patreon button on that page, and that'll bring you to the page where you can choose. So again, CoriolisDance.org to donate or to subscribe to the Patreon. Let's see. We're going to move on here to our next piece of the evening. This piece was filmed during the 2-week Coriolis residency in Fraina, Italy. This was a time with a lot of exploration for all of the dancers involved, and when the language of post-ballet was sort of being more concretely codified. What did that residency, that 2-week residency in Italy, mean for you and your practice?
Well, for me, it was the beginning of the What is Home creative process, actually. One of the phrases that you just saw this evening, actually, part of that was made by the dancers that I was there with Natasha and with Mariko Nagashima and Marissa Quimby. And it was really a way for me to be... There's something really great about displacement, I think, and being in an entirely different culture not only was like fresh stimulus and really brought in fresh ideas, it also allowed us, all 4 of us, to really be immersed in this process of what is post-ballet and how do we want to enact it in our own work. What is the methodology for putting this to use?
Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and watch the piece that came out of that residency right now. Forgive me, folks. I am operating everything here.
Buongiorno, 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 giorno, giorno.
It's like 6:45. It always rings at odd times.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno.
The domestic life of Coriolis.
Really broadening your skill set here.
Beverages on the counter. Tacos I'll send up.
Okay, so that was the Fig Ladies of Phryenia, which is a very fun and unique piece. Natasha, welcome back. Natasha Greenwald is joining us again. So, Natasha, a question for you about that piece and about the residency. How important was that 2 weeks for your creative process and for finding what was next for you and for Coriolis?
Yeah, I mean, that was such a magical time. I'm watching it now going like, this is a fundraiser to send us back to Italy, isn't it? Like, for me, that was really the only time in my life where I've had that consecutive long amount of time to just be in creative process. And something I'll talk about in my own Patreon contributions is that I'm a very intuitive creator. And so I feel like I just need a lot of blank space and time for ideas to come to me. And doing that in the hustle and bustle of regular life can be really challenging. So I went to Italy not with an agenda, but just a lot of questions. And I wanted to be, Kristen was talking about this too, like immersed in the culture and the experience and have time for observation. Something Kristen did a lot with us in rehearsal was finding characters. And I was really inspired by that, taking on a different persona, that be it like human or animal, and like what that felt like. And then also just spending time walking around town, taking notes, creating on what we saw. So even though I didn't create Danse de Scene in Italy, I came back home and felt like I was ready to go. Just kind of the idea blossomed a couple weeks later. I felt like I had the tools, in my pocket from that time in Italy.
So there's one thing I think that makes this piece kind of unique is its comedic aspect. It's a little bit sillier than I think we're used to with Coriolis pieces. Can you tell us a little bit about where that came from, how that came about, and what its inspiration was?
Do you want me to do this?
Do you want me to tell? Okay, I can tell.
Yes, part of it I think was this idea of serious play was something that I was bringing into my rehearsal process, and so we spent some hours just being in a place where we could take on different character aspects, and laughing and having fun is really integral to that process. The other thing, I don't know if you want to tell this story, Natasha, but there was an actual woman that this is sort of based off of.
Yeah, we would go for walks after rehearsal each day. So like Kristen said, we're doing a lot of laughing. We're also pushing ourselves really hard and further, and we kind of needed a little decompress. So we'd go on a company walk in the evening. We came across this woman that was picking figs from her tree, and she offered us this like giant platter of figs. So I think Marissa took it and the woman took it back and then pushed it back at us. We were a little confused, and finally we figured out that she wanted us to take, I think, like 3 figs each. So each had our allotted figs and had a lovely interaction with her. And she was quite a hoot. There's apparently, it said like 1,000 people in this village or something. I think we counted like 10. So we got very accustomed to the different characters, and she would wear these plastic bags over her shoes when she would be working out in her garden. And everyone wore the little aprons that we were wearing too. So we were kind of mesmerized by her shoes and what that would feel like walking around. So those came into play in the video.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this, but we saw her at the post office a couple days later, and she was decked out from head to toes. Like, it was like an outfit. This outfit looked like it had never been worn before.
Yeah,
and she
Italian Vogue was like
right. She probably like had
and we
like
showed
a
up in our
2-minute walk.
Sweatpants.
Yeah.
And she like looked me up and down like,
yes.
You did not go outside looking like that. Knew we had a major faux pas in our attire.
Yeah, I don't think that she approved of our choices.
Yeah.
So we had a question from the chat actually about the plastic bags on the feet. So I'm glad that you guys got to that sort of naturally. So we ended up talking a little bit about the post-ballet class and its development during the 2-week residency. Can we talk a little bit more about those classes? How did that class develop after you returned home?
Well, we started offering it for a company, as a company class, and began to do things like master classes, auditions, workshops at Velocity, Yaw Theater. Eventually hosted the class for us up until the point that the pandemic hit, and then we did that jump to virtual. And at that point, we also made the class free so that there weren't any sort of boundaries for our freelance dancers trying to still, move their bodies during this time.
Kristen touched on this a little bit, just about moving online, the importance of having class. I think one thing that's been really challenging in the pandemic for everybody is like finding community. And like when we take classes, dancers, it is both our training, but we usually get there early. We're stretching, we're talking, we're cheering each other on, asking questions after class, and like we do build that time into our online classes. And I personally have just really treasured being able to have like real conversations with people and know how this time is affecting them, to be able to like be real about what I'm feeling and experiencing and still be in community in class.
Yeah.
We've also, speaking of Italy, had a woman from Rome take class a couple weeks ago. We're making connections with dancers all across the country, sharing in this new form of learning.
So I think you've come to believe now that the post-ballet language of movement is not just for trained dancers, but can be for anyone across different ages, body types, and training. Coriolis, I think, is going to launch a subscription-based service around that concept, and that will be called Post-Ballet Praxis. Can you tell us a little bit more about Post-Ballet Praxis?
Yeah, so our thought is to be able to start, we're going to make this a streaming service for the whole family and have Post-Ballet Playground, which is for ages 8 to 10, and youth, which is 11 to 13. But we also want to have some fitness classes and some breaks. I know we all get kind of like bogged down being on Zoom all day, so you could take a moment, do some little bit of post-ballet, and get back to work. We're really interested in creating training that comes from an internal point of view, whereas a lot of ballet training is a very external, shape-based. We're looking at a sensation, internal-based learning system. So even though you'll be online, you wouldn't be attached to your monitor.
Yeah. And Kristen, do you have anything to add about Praxis as a service?
It's really, going with what Natasha's saying, we're really hoping to bring this idea of what ballet can be, an embodied experience, not just something where you're either correct or you're incorrect, but something that makes you feel good in your body, something that makes you more aware of your own potential, and class can be a place of discovery, and we really want to be able to provide that for anyone.
Cool. Well, I think we have a small preview of what a post-ballet playground class would look like, or one of the post-ballet classes for young children.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and we'll roll that now.
So, we're gonna play a little game and go on an adventure. Discovering new things, moving fast and direct, or slow. And let's bounce, let's bounce, let's bounce, let's bounce. Plie, which means to bend in French. Connection. So, the head and your tail move together. Paint the wall, paint the ceiling, paint the ground, moving circles, standing on one leg and balancing. And let's take a think about all of the things that we got to do today.
So that was to look at a small part of the post-ballet praxis service and what it will eventually entail. Sign-ups for post-ballet praxis will start on December 16th, and the service itself will launch on January 6th. So you can go to CoriolisDance.org, and from the main page, you can click on information on our upcoming subscription service to learn more about that and to keep track of its upcoming development. Let's check real quick here. I think we have some new subscribers and some donations to go over. So first, let's go over the new subscribers. And wow, we've got a lot to talk about. So get those party hats on, everybody. I'm putting mine together as we speak.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
I wish you had one.
But goodness gracious. Wow, we've got D. Bailey. D. Bailey subscribed at the $50 tier. Mike Janney subscribed at the $25 tier. Brett Doss subscribed at the $10 tier. Noah and Sydney Bopp subscribed at the $5 tier. And Kaylee Houston subscribed at the $25 tier. Thank you very, very much for all of those subscriptions. We really appreciate that. And we're moving very close. We're getting closer every time to our 25 new subscriber goal. So thank you everybody for signing up. And if you're interested in signing up for the Coriolis Patreon, let's see. You want to visit CoriolisDance.org, click on the donate button at the bottom of that page, and then subscribe to the Coriolis Patreon button at the bottom of that page. That'll bring you straight there.
And? Do we have new donations?
We have some donations as well. You are right. Thank you.
I want to take another sip.
Yeah, we have some new donations, everybody. Thank you for the reminder. Cheers. Cheers to Ron White for your $300 donation. Thank you very much. $300 is extremely generous. We appreciate it.
The Ron Wright
That's the
mustache.
Ron Wright mustache, for sure. Erica Hansen subscribed with $100. Donated $100. Thank you very much for your donation. And Aaron Grady, perhaps with Karen Grady Brown, subscribed or donated. Sorry, donated $100 as well. Thank you very much for your donations. Everything that you're donating here helps to make Coriolis's future endeavors better and brighter.
Our dreams coming true.
Yes, definitely. Speaking of Coriolis's future, I think we want to talk a little bit more about that. And we've got some upcoming works that were postponed and delayed a little bit this year. So, Natasha, we'll start with you. Last year, you debuted your work, Danse des Signes. It was, I think, really successful. It sold out at Velocity. It really resonated with people. You had plans in place to restage that piece on a larger stage for a larger audience. But obviously, because of the ongoing pandemic, those plans are now on hold. So first, tell me a little bit about Danse des Signes and your inspiration and reason for making it.
Yeah. So it's a feminist retelling of Swan Lake. I feel like a lot of our great love stories actually don't represent consent, and they don't give the female protagonist a lot of agency. So when I watched Swan Lake, it actually was it's a very difficult, kind of painful experience. So I wanted to create this ballet to show how I experienced seeing it, but then also to create a new ending that gives her more agency. If you look at the Act 2 pas de deux with Odette and Siegfried, all of her gestures, they just keep saying they represent fear and saying no, and yet, this is represented as love. But I also wanted to tell a story of Odette being supported by her flock and her fellow swans and being lifted up to be able to have that agency, to be able to stand up for herself and move past trauma.
Excellent. So we have the trailer for that piece. And I'm going to go ahead and roll that right now. And so that was a trailer for the first version of Danse des Signes. Now, Kristen, at the start of this year, you were working on a piece that was scheduled to debut in April of 2020. That piece was called Ad Astra per Aspera. And again, scheduled to debut in April of 2020. Of course, that was delayed. It was initially delayed to July of 2020. It was then, of course, delayed again. Next to April of 2021. And due to uncertainty and not really being sure where we're going to be at in April of 2021, it was delayed again. And it sort of sits waiting in the wings now for its chance to hit the stage. Tell us a little bit more about this project. It's essentially completed almost at this point,
Yes.
and it's just waiting for the right time.
Yes, it was 4 weeks to the premiere, so we were really in the last moments of getting stage ready. Ad Astra per Aspera is the state motto of Kansas, where I grew up, and it's Latin for "to the stars through difficulties." And for kind of a Midwestern kind of ideology, I think it is talking about this kind of idea of rugged individualism, and how we always have to do everything ourselves in order to get ahead in the world. What it means for me is this kind of trajectory away from that, actually, and towards community, and away from shame and stigma, and towards celebration of sexuality and what it's like to be a woman. I really wanted to go through a sort of flowering in this piece, and it's somewhat autobiographical in nature, and is really close to me in that sense.
Great. Let's run the trailer for that one as well. So that was the trailer for Ad Astra per Aspera, Kristen's upcoming piece. So Coriolis is in a unique position now, and very unusual, of having essentially two pieces that are ready to go and just waiting for the right moment to either return to the stage or to see the stage for the first time. For both of you, what do you see as being next for these pieces? Natasha, why don't you begin?
Yeah. You know, partly tackling the subject matter of my piece, it's a little intimidating to move forward, having it already have seen the light of day. I feel really encouraged to dig deeper with my story and share from, an even deeper place in my heart. I think the time of letting it sit lets me also see different ways that I want to increase the stage presence and value as far as like set design. I'd love to have a score that's fully composed for us. And with all the choreography mostly done, I feel like there's space to put some extra finishing touches on it to move it forward.
Right, and Kristen?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Justin Durham being able to make his debut as a Coriolis dancer. Although he already feels very much part of the team and family. For the composer that collaborated and is actually, we're still collaborating on this together, Michael Ham, created entirely new work for the evening. I'm just looking for the point that we can get back into the studio and take a look at it with our fresh eyes.
Yeah. Speaking of fresh eyes, now you've been away from these pieces for a time. Because of the delays and everything. How has the time away shifted your perspective? Will it allow for refinement? Does it change how you look at these pieces? Kristen, why don't you start?
Well, yes. It's the basic answer. I really do feel like what we've experienced and are still experiencing right now is a global intimacy crisis, and where we are used to defining in our own culture that as between two romantic partners. I think we've been able to realize how important intimacy is between friends, between your family members, between you and the grocery clerk. So all these interactions are a huge loss that we've experienced right now. And even though the Ad Astra per Aspera does focus on a romantic partnership, I really think that that's something that we will have to take a look at when we get back into the studio, that audiences will be and we ourselves have just gone through a tremendous loss of intimacy in our lives.
And Natasha, for you, are you looking at this piece in a different light after the last year or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for this time to not change your perspective on everything. I think Kristen really put the nail on the head, like with intimacy. And though this piece isn't about intimacy, it's also about community and the ways that we handle our own personal traumas, can find support by those around us. And I think though we still have that support, not having that physical connection can make it a lot harder for people to go through challenging experiences. So I think that the importance of lifting one another up still rings very true and on a deeper level now.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Natasha, for joining us for that segment. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Patreon. Again, we're looking to get 25 new subscribers to this brand new Patreon service. So you want to go to CoriolisDance.org, click on the Donate Now button on the bottom of the page, and then the subscribe to the Coriolis Patreon button at the bottom of that following page. You can choose your tier from there. Speaking of the tiers, we have one of our board members that's going to go over the fifth tier of the Coriolis Patreon.
I'm Ron Wright, and I'm the president of the board of Coriolis Dance. My commitment to Coriolis comes from my passion for supporting nonprofit entities and my commitment to supporting the arts. For $50 a month, every month you'll get an extended message from a Coriolis artist that elaborates on who they are as an artist and how their working with Coriolis has influenced their practices. Plus a twice yearly happy hour with Coriolis dancers when, again, it's safe to do so, and all previous perks.
So that was the fifth tier of the Patreon. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of Coriolis and how maybe you can help. To talk with us about that today, we have Erica Hansen joining us. Erica, you're the development chair for the Coriolis Board of Directors. You have a background in product and apparel design, and you're here to help Coriolis grow as an organization. Erica, first, can you give us an idea of where Coriolis is at currently in terms of growth?
Sure. Coriolis has accomplished a great deal since its founding. We have reached a limit of what we can accomplish with the structure that we currently have. And rather than relying so heavily on other organizations for our funding, we've created a growth plan that will help us will grow and also reach our goals and take us higher into our vision for the company.
Excellent. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about this growth plan?
Yeah, sure. So Coriolis was founded on a deep commitment to compensating its artists, and will continue to meet that commitment. And our growth, though, means expanding that pledge to include our artistic directors. They have been the ongoing source of that pledge and commitment. Their labor of love has kept this organization going for the last 13 years. And we want to honor that labor and support that drive by including them among the artists we compensate. To be able to do that, we have more work to do. We need more hands on deck. We need a fuller board of directors who will then be able to support the hiring of a permanent executive director position.
Okay, so it sounds like we're looking for an executive director for the board. How would an executive director help advance Coriolis as an organization?
Okay, so an executive director can provide organizational support and also lead the way for us to expand opportunities for the company that will also open up more financial resources. And more and different kinds of opportunities will mean more artistic programming. We also look to the executive director to expand our touring and educational services to increase those revenue streams.
Perfect. So for the viewers at this point, do you believe that you are what we're looking for as we're looking to expand the board of directors? Is this an opportunity that appeals to you? Do you think that you're uniquely suited for this role? If so, you can apply at coriolisdance.org. There's a link there. You can read more about the call for board members, and you can apply to join the board from the main page. So if that sounds like an exciting opportunity to you, we do encourage you to apply. We'd be happy to see what you have to offer. Real quick, let's see. Looks like I'm just checking over the chat. I don't know if we have any questions, any new donations. For now, no. So like to thank Erica very much for joining us. I do have a quick video here that's detailing the perks of the next tier of the Coriolis Patreon. So I'm going to jump to that real quick. There it is.
Hi, I'm Prosti, and I serve on the board for Coriolis Dance. For $75 a month, every month, you get a hand-picked selection of Coriolis media from the archives of over a decade of performances and rehearsals, plus all the previous perks. Thank you, and we look forward to sharing our art with you.
We'll move on at this point because we have some more dance to show.
Yeah, a lot more.
As you you may have noticed, we're joined again by Natasha Greenwald, the co-founder, co-director of Coriolis Dance. Thank you again for joining us. The next piece that we have here is called Athena Unfettered. It was the finale to Transit of Metis. Can you tell me a little bit more about this show, and what it was about, and where this excerpt fit into the larger piece?
Yeah. It was a rep show, full-length rep show, very similar tonight on the theme of resilience. I was playing with the myth of Metis and this moment of Zeus tricking her into turning herself into a fly and swallowing her. And then with her own cunning, she creates Athena, and Athena bursts from his head fully formed. And I was looking at this as a metaphor for the ways that we face things in our own life and situations that may make us feel diminished, but how we move forward from those situations really creates our resilience and our power and our courage. And so I felt like that was very, very timely for these days. And this piece that we're seeing tonight, Athena Unfettered, was the finale of that show. So this moment of finding that courage.
Perfect. Let's roll that piece right now. Wow, that was really nice to see little heads, in the theater, all these people watching, and also the applause at the end kind of caught me by surprise. Natasha, this piece notably has a lot of dancers on stage at one time. If I'm not mistaken, it is the most amount of dancers that Coriolis has ever put on the stage at once. Is a work of that scale and ambition something you would like to do more of in the future?
Yeah, I think especially after this time, I have, huge desires to have lots of bodies packed into a studio working on a piece. I think that'll be very, very satisfying. But also creatively, having more people to work with allowed me to work with, patterning and pairing people off in different ways and things that in a smaller cast you can't really do as far as structure. I was in process with Jason Olberg. We were to be highlighted in the Inter/National series at Seattle International Dance Festival last June, but that piece went the way of all programming last year. And it's something that we did continue to work on together online and feel like we've kind of hit its capacity for our online research, but hope for it to be a full-length, large cast piece in the near future when possible.
Right. Perfect. We had a question from the chat. I think it was already answered, but Karen Grady Brown was just wondering who the choreographer was for this piece.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, that would be Natasha. And from there, we're going to go into some more subscriber and donation talk because we've got some new Patreon subscribers.
Yay.
Oh, shoot. I've got the eyeglasses and the party hat and the mustache. I'm putting it all together this time. Oh, it's very difficult. It's It's working. It's working fine. Anyway, cheers to our new Patreon subscribers. Paul Joppa, a Goliath, subscribed at $75 at the highest tier. So thank you very much to Paul Joppa. Gina Taub subscribed at the $15 tier. Thank you. Thank you very much for your subscription. Thank you for joining the members club for Coriolis Dance. And Madeline Greger, thank you very much for your $15 tier subscription. Very much appreciate all three of you for joining. And I don't know, I'm going to have to count it up soon, but we're getting closer always to the 25 member goal. So again, you want to visit coriolisdance.org, donate now. The donate now button on the bottom, and then the subscribe to the Coriolis Patreon button on that page. And from there, you can choose your tier. And we have some new donations as well. Madeline Levy subscribed or donated. Sorry, I keep confusing the two. Donated $25 to Coriolis. Thank you very, very much for your individual donation. We appreciate your support. Let's see. We talked about the Patreon and where you can subscribe. Again, we're looking for 25 new subscribers. So we're getting close to the end here. So one last push. Let's get a few more people through the door so we can congratulate them on the air. We're going to talk about our next and final piece for this evening. This was made, kind of a special one. This was made in just a single day, only a few weeks ago. Kristen and Natasha and Madeline Greger, who we had on a little bit earlier, all collaborated on this. You started from scratch. You worked in the shed space, which is where we're actually recording this, and turned it into a whole installation with costumes and choreography, and filmed this piece over the course of an 11-hour day. So what was the origin for this piece? How did it come about, and what inspired it being put together over the single day like that?
We had no conception of doing anything like this. first of all. And then we were approached by TEDx Seattle, and they commissioned this work from us, and they specifically wanted us to make a piece in a single day. And the topic that they wanted us to explore was other sides. And so Natasha and I kind of just bumped our heads together, and Tasha, you just had like an explosion of ideas that I was not prepared for.
At first I was like, no, like this is not a conversation. Just the challenges of trying to do anything quickly online felt really just super daunting. But after a little bit of that, yeah, I need that quiet space to reflect. It's kind of bubbling over, and I was like, oh, we have to do it.
Yeah, so then we brought in Maddie and sort of mishmashed together some of these ideas over the course of that day.
Yeah. There's a really interesting video on the Coriolis YouTube right now that is 11 hours long.
It's 11 hours.
It's a silent live stream for the most part, but it started at the very, very beginning of the process, and that camera stayed on through the whole 11 hours. So you can kind of scrub through that, and that's a really fun sort of inside look at that process. Natasha, before we show this piece, this will be the last piece that we show tonight, and it'll be the last time that you're joining us to chat. So I just want to give you a chance to say goodbye to the viewers and to say a few last things before you go.
Yeah, just mostly thank you all for being here and for your generous support of Coriolis, both tonight, but for all the years. This is, means the world to us and to me, and to be able to follow this dream and see it coming to life. And especially right now where it's been harder to be involved in the arts, to see people showing up and believing in this dream really, really means a lot to us. So thank you so much.
And thank you, Tasha, for joining us tonight. It was lovely to have you here and being able to talk in depth sort of about these pieces and about Coriolis. Why don't we run this film? Okay. And that was Limitations 15, which was produced by Kristen Call and Natasha Greenwald, and Madeline Greger was the performer there, and she's joining us here now. Hello, Maddie. Thank you again for joining us.
Hey.
So, Maddie, this was kind of a unique opportunity, I think, because you got to work with Kristen and Natasha both simultaneously as co-creators and collaborators on this piece. What was striking or interesting to you about their creative relationship and getting to work with both of them at the same time?
Yeah, it was my first time working with both of them, and just their, like, the amount of trust that they've built up. It shouldn't be surprising, but it was the first time I had experienced it. And just, yeah, the way that they trusted each other's opinion and didn't necessarily need to discuss. They just trusted if I had a question and Natasha was answering it, Kristen just like automatically trusted that answer. And so that, like, their relationship is just beautiful. But I think the amount of trust between the two really stood out.
Awesome. And we actually had a question in the chat from Marissa Quimby that was something that we definitely wanted to talk about a little bit. Marissa Quimby asked, was the score already in existence, or was it commissioned specifically for this piece? And or did they also create it in one day?
Yes, so it was commissioned specifically for this work. We approached an old-time collaborator friend of mine, Joshua Dent, and I just asked them if they would be willing to do this thing that was super last minute. They did have more than a day. It was like a week or a week and a half. And they were just so great, and it's a beautiful, wonderful, astounding score. It's beautiful.
Yeah, really Herculean effort, and the final product is incredible, and we would expect nothing less from Joshua Dent, frequent collaborator and overall great person. Let's see. So I did want to talk about the music, but let's see. We also had a comment quickly about the paper costuming. That paper costuming was created by Natasha, I believe. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was, again, all of that. The music was created over a piece of a larger period of time, but all of that choreography and all of the costuming and all of the set was made in just one day. So a really fun piece to end the night.
Should mention too that the acrylic pour that you see in the film was done by Maddie.
Was that your first experience with acrylic pour?
It was not. Last year I did them fairly often. I was a little obsessed. I've taken a little bit of a break from it, but so it was fun to kind of like get back into it and play around and remember all the different techniques and try to use it on a much bigger canvas that I'd ever used before.
Is it normally part of your process to get kind of hands-on with the piece?
I wouldn't say so. Generally, I try to like cover it and make sure it doesn't move, no air in and out. So messing it up and playing in it is definitely very new.
Excellent. Well, Maddie, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us this evening. Would you like to say anything before you go?
Just thank you to all those who have joined our Patreon and who have donated. It's really incredible, and I'm always overwhelmed by the Coriolis family and the support that we get.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was our final piece of the evening. We're going to start wrapping things up for the night. We do have a question from Lana, who asks, who ate the fig Newtons off the charcuterie board? I had one.
I had one.
Yeah, so we shared the fig Newtons. Let's see. We are going to go over and review. Let's see, we have one more donation to go over. Oh, the drink, yes. Eva Stone donated $20. Thank you very, very much for your donation. We appreciate you. Delicious.
Oh, somebody was asking what's in this.
Oh, yeah. These were the Cure Cocktail Cosmos.
Ah.
It's sort of a ready-made cocktail kit that we got from them as part of that promo. Now, let's see. We're reaching the end of the evening, so we just want to take one more opportunity to ask you to visit CoriolaSdance.org to donate or to sign up for our newly launched Patreon. That is at patreon.com/CoriolisDance, or you can find the link at the donate page at CoriolaSdance.org. This is a new thing for us, so we're looking to sort of expand the opportunities for people to participate in and feel really involved with the Coriolis process. So
Yeah, we really we want to find ways right now to be engaged with you and to keep finding connection in this time.
yeah. And I think that's all we have for the evening. So it's time to say goodbye. And I'd just like to take a second to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It was really special to see everybody in the chat, to see the donations and the subscriptions roll in, to see people's reactions to the new or previous pieces that we were able to show this evening. It really means a lot. And also to everybody that helped make this event what it is tonight, a deep, deep thank you to all of those people. We had a lot of people working very, very hard to make tonight look and feel as good as I hope it did.
Yes, and I'd like to thank Devin for being our host tonight as well, and for pressing all the buttons.
Pressing all the buttons.
All evening long. He was our technician and host tonight, so
right.
to thank him. And just sending our thoughts out to you, and hoping everyone has a happy holidays.
Yes, and we hope that we get to see you in person all together sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
I better. And good night, everyone.
Good night.